everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're here to break down WWE's TLC pay-per-view. Just ended a few minutes ago. We're going to wait till we really get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to let some people file in first, let some people tune in to our review so we could start reading some of your thoughts and comments. But quickly, we'll just give a very brief description of what we thought of the show. What do you think, Paul?
I thought it was a decent show. I thought the two best matches were basically the bookends of the show. I thought the Revival New Day ladder match and the Kabuki Warriors Charlotte Becky TLC match were, I thought, the two best.
Yeah, I definitely thought that the two tag team matches were the best. Of course, that third tag team match wasn't my favorite, the one with the Viking Raiders. That one could have been a little better.
Yeah.
So 2 out of the 3 tag matches were wonderful. So because of that, I thought it was actually quite a decent show. I wouldn't grade it an A, though.
No.
I would say B minus.
Yeah, I'd say solid B.
Yeah, B is pretty fair.
King Corbin can't fight his own battle. No, he cannot.
We've got people tuning in already. We've got Good Guy Dave, Teddy. We've got Lake, Stan's World. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And thank you to all who are watching right now. We want to hear your thoughts. Tell us what you grade the pay-per-view and what you thought of the show overall. Favorite match, least favorite match. I got to say, between the two tag matches, I don't know. I mean, both had a lot of really cool elements and really crazy spots. It's really hard to choose between them.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. They were both so good. So many great spots. I don't know if I could say one is better than the other. But I
think the women really pulled it out. I mean,
they did, other than a couple of those weak-looking chair shots.
That's my only criticism about the main event match, really. The main criticism, besides poor Kyrie, who was like stumbling all around. She was like tripping on things left and right. But yeah, my big criticism is the weak-looking chair shots. It starts with Becky Lynch. She just like her chair shots like, eh. And then she did a second one. It was a little more forceful, right. But still, for the most part, it was like not what a chair shot should be. It should be like, boom. Sorry if I made your audio peak, but it should be like intense like that, like an audio peak.
Lake Locke says his match of the night was Murphy versus Black. Everything else was kind of meh.
I thought that was my third match of the night.
Yeah, I would put that third. I thought it was great, though. I thought it was a really good match. I thought both really delivered and some cool little images throughout.
When they both knelt, Indian style across from each other, I like that a lot. Basically Buddy Murphy mocking Aleister Black's pose, but Aleister wasn't phased. I enjoyed that whole match. It was really good. But again, just the tag matches, I think, exceeded that for me. I actually thought that Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black would steal the show, but the tag matches were just so good. It didn't have a chance.
I think they were slightly better. Black and Murphy, I thought was great, and it was clearly third for me.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the distance between that match and anything else below it was pretty wide, I thought.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt those were the top 3 for sure.
Let's talk about least favorite before we start breaking down things in chronological order. But I feel like least favorite for me would have to be Bobby Lashley and Rusev, just because I wanted to see Rusev kind of get the leg up in the last laugh. And you brought up a good point, though, to why you thought Bobby Lashley won, that he maybe needed some wins.
Yeah, I think we've already gotten, they've gotten the payoff that they wanted with Rusev. Is so over. He kind of was anyways, but through all this, now the crowd really loves him. I did just kind of feel like Lashley, I mean, I may not be completely correct on this, but it feels like he's lost some pay-per-view matches, and so it's probably kind of good for him to get the win. So
I don't know. You've been doing this storyline for months, and the whole goal was, you did get Rusev over, but the other goal was to make him look really strong, to give him some momentum, some positive momentum. That was the whole point. No one cares if Lashley loses in a way because heel heat. Just he's a heel. No one really wants him to win. But then again, I guess him winning is good because, like I just said, heel heat. I don't know.
If I had to pick my worst match of the night, I know it was by design, but the Bray Wyatt Miz match was just so kind of weird. I get that Bray Wyatt was just kind of laughing, wasn't fighting back, but then he did, and then the Daniel Bryan thing happened, which to me, I thought he was going to turn.
Me too. I was a little disappointed.
To be an ally for Wyatt, so that part was a little strange for me as well. you know,
Yeah, like so Bray Wyatt dragged him to the depths of hell just to let him go and him return to the yes chant Daniel Bryan. Really doesn't make much logical sense. So he just got let go after all of his hair got pulled out. Oh, I'm gonna go get my head shaved because like most of my hair is missing anyway. It just seems kind of weird when you try to make logical sense of it. I thought it was interesting though, Bray Wyatt coming out not as the Fiend, as just Wyatt from the Firefly Funhouse. Thought that was an interesting take to do. And boy, did we hear the theme song for Firefly Funhouse for quite a long time, way longer than usual. That was interesting.
I didn't know
well.
it had so many verses.
Yeah, so the whole thing is, I didn't mind the Daniel Bryan stuff that much, even though, like I said, it kind of lacks some logic there. But yeah, the Miz stuff, it's like he's saying he wants to be serious, he wants to go all out there, he wants to fight for his family, not fight as the Miz. It just didn't seem like as serious of a match, just because the tone of it all, because of Bray Wyatt laughing. Of course, that's part of his character trait, but also Miz coming out in his normal gear. And I tweeted about this. I thought that was silly. So if he's going to do this big promo before his match, talking about how he's not fighting as the Miz, you know, this is the most serious, passionate match he's ever had, then why come out in your regular gear that's like, you know, all showy and ridiculous and Hollywoodish? It's like, if I was him, or if I was the booking team, I would have had him come out in street clothes or just a different gear, you know, serious looking gear, like maybe all black or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been more serious, and he would be taking it, you know, more to the extreme and more intensity overall, I think, just from his gear alone.
I agree. You know, one of the things I thought on this pay-per-view too is, you know, I get that Lesnar doesn't have to show up at all the events, but he literally lives like a half hour from this building. How was he not on this show at all?
I don't know.
Like he lived, maybe an hour, you know, but it's in his home state. You know that. I don't understand how he was not in the pay-per-view.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
he does what he wants.
Yeah, even if he didn't wrestle, you know, he should have made some sort of an appearance.
Yeah, you would think he might have made a surprise appearance or something, but nope, no go there. I do like this comment by, where is it? By Lake. Why bring Rusev back just to have him lose to Lashley? Because, yeah, he had that long break where he was off of TV, and the whole storyline's getting him over, and then you've got his first real match back, like real long extended match of any kind of consequence, and he loses it. It kind of feels reminiscent of any other time Rusev has been on a streak or gained any popularity just to lose. This has happened throughout Rusev's history, dating back years. You know, you guys remember the Cena stuff, like, you know, he could have won there, but I think he lost, if I remember correctly. That was years ago. But so many different times, Rusev just began to get over, and then they kind of squashed his momentum in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where they go with him from here, and I hope it's kind of the end of the storyline, but I have a feeling we're going to have an over-the-top Lana and Lashley celebration on Raw tomorrow. I can just about guarantee it.
Yeah, this means, to me at least, it signals that the storyline may be continuing, which I'm not sure is a good thing. I mean, we were kind of not praising it the other day on our Raw review, but we were like, well, you know, it's doing its job. It's getting the job done. Rusev's over, as we just said even just a few minutes ago. But, like, is it doing a good enough job to warrant continuing it for, like, another month or two? It's already gone on so long.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when they did the flashback that it's been going on since September. I mean, I knew it felt like that long, but I didn't realize it was actually that long.
Yeah. We've got John joining us. Hi, John. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Cheers. How you doing? We are talking all about the pay-per-view. We're kind of jumping all around right now, but we can go in chronological order, start going through it now. All right, so we have the opening of the pay-per-view. Instead of like a normal video package open, I kind of like this. It's pretty unique. It opened with the Firefly Funhouse theme song, and it said Firefly Funhouse, TLC edition. It even had the graphic. And then we had Bray Wyatt talking about, you know, everyone, angel or demon, naughty or nice, everyone needs a little TLC. And I really like that play on words and everything. And it was really cool.
Yeah, no, that was a good way to open the show.
And kind of foreboding, we didn't know then, but it kind of foreshadowed what happened later, him turning up as Bray Wyatt versus The Fiend. Right. Because he was as Bray Wyatt in the intro.
Yeah, I kept thinking he was going to go under the ring or something like that and reemerge as The Fiend. So I was a little surprised by that. and we'll get more into that match. But yeah, that was a good way to start the show with a little video package, and then we went into the ladders match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the New Day versus the Revival. I thought initially, this kind of started a little slow, but then it really got going once Kofi started doing some of his crazy stuff. When he
leaped over.
Yeah, they were going to face plant him into the ladder outside, and he jumped over the ladder and flipped into the rope. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of course, then he ended up getting taken out when he went back over and got hit with the ladder.
And later he sacrificed his body, as they always like to say on commentary, as he basically dived into the ladder just to make the ladder go into the Revival.
Right.
So kind of like putting his body at risk just to take out the Revival. I like that, though. I thought that was really cool. Big E goes to splash the Revival, but lands on the ladder. Pretty powerful stuff there. Just some really cool spots in this match. Really, really hardcore looking ladder spots. I like them. They were visually very good looking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially as it went on the later in the match it got.
Yeah, the one with Big E onto the ladder, the suplex on the ladder.
God, yes. And then he splashed onto Big E.
Right. Even though Big E really didn't land on the ladder fully, he hit hard enough. I'm not sure if the ladder was already pre-bent or something, because it bent pretty easily. But then the dash splash off the top
that
rope
really bent it.
Yeah.
And looked really brutal.
And Dash doesn't show those kind of hops very often. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was really good. And before that happened, though, rewind a little bit. Revival superkick ladder into Big E's.
Oh yeah.
Big B's. I wrote that in my notes. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm gonna say it though. But yeah, then we fast forward, like Paul said, we had that awesome Big E Revival sequence where Big E got like put through the ladders twice, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of other stuff happening with the ladder. Kofi was supposed to hit Dawson off the ladder with the belt, but it was a really bad angle.
Yeah.
It's like the way. So he's up on the ladder and Dawson's up there too. He has the belts hanging on the thing, tries to smash it into his head. It just looked like it didn't connect at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that.
They needed a different camera angle on that one, for sure.
And then he falls over.
I always love it. It always makes me a little nervous, but I always love the Big E spear where he dives through the ropes and goes to the floor. I thought this one in particular looked really good.
It looked really good, and I had to put it in my thumbnail. So it's one of the 4 pictures in this thumbnail. You guys will see later after it posts officially the thumbnail. I had to use it because it looked so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really visually very beautiful,
and
I gotta say.
I also loved his big ending off of the ladder. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes his big ending doesn't look like it would, like it
hurt
would,
you.
like it would do anything. But this
Right.
one looked good, I thought.
Yeah, I think it looked good too. And like I said, how Kofi ended up grabbing the belts and winning was basically knocking Dawson off with that terrible. That was the 1 weak point of the match. So maybe because of that, because I feel like that was a weaker spot because it was used right before they won. So that was a weaker moment than anything in the main event. There were some weak spots in the main event, but I don't think anything as weak and monumental as this, because this was used to go into the finish or the ending, and it didn't work out so good.
Right.
So yeah, I guess now really going through it, yeah, maybe the main event gets number 1 match of the night, and this one's number 2.
I can live with that.
I did say, how many times can they say the name of the pay-per-view during the pay-per-view? Because they must have said TLC a billion times and tables, ladders, and chairs a billion times. You have to when you're naming the matches, but like in all the promos too. It's like, man, we know what pay-per-view we're watching. We get it. It was just lots of saying that word over and over.
So the next match was what we've already determined was one of our viewers' favorite match of the night. And that's Lake saying that he loved Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. It starts with King saying that Aleister Black's entrance is maybe his favorite of all time. And he's seen a lot of entrances.
That's what I was going to say. You know how many entrances he's seen in his whole career? Not only as a commentator, but as a wrestler too. How many people has he seen go into the ring? So to say that, I think that's pretty strong statement for sure.
And then as you mentioned, Buddy mocks Aleister by coming into the ring and sitting face to face with him. And Aleister shows so much quickness with his strikes, whether it's his knee or the back of his arm or whatever. And this was on full display tonight too. And then of course Aleister clearly broke his nose at some point during the match.
It just kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and that was a powerful visual. Not necessarily beautiful like Big E's spear, but just powerful for sure. A very striking image in a different way than the beautiful spear that Big E did earlier in the night. But yeah, this pay-per-view had some really cool imagery throughout the night, I think, and Black's bloody nose is one of those images.
Well, and the funny thing is, Samoa Joe kept talking about his jaw, which, you know, was also worked on by Buddy Murphy. But King gets like annoyed at one part. He's like, he's got a broken nose. Can't you guys see that?
He's like, I can tell from here.
Yeah. What else? You know, I love Aleister Black's moonsault. He's got one of the best looking moonsaults around.
But Murphy kicked out of it.
Yeah.
Then elbow to Murphy, of course, by Black. And Black moonsaults again later in the match to the outside. Then Black hits a knee strike, but Murphy kicks out again. So lots of cool kickouts. I like this. Good back and forth between the two of them. Murphy powerbombs Black. Black kicks out. So more kickouts. Multiple knees, brainbuster, but Black kicks out. And then Black, after a really cool sequence of like they were trying to kick and strike each other, but there was awesome subsequent counters where they kept getting out of it. But finally, in that little sequence right afterwards, Black hits Black Mass, and that's how the match ends. Black wins. And I think it's a really big win for Black.
Yeah.
Because I think both guys really kind of needed the win. So
they were both undefeated since they started on Raw. They mentioned that during the match. And I'll be curious to see what they do with both of these guys. Because I think at some point both guys deserve some sort of run at the title, because I think they're two of the most talented guys on Raw, if not the most talented. I mean, Ricochet's obviously on there, and a few others, AJ Styles. I mean, Raw is fairly loaded.
I mean, WWE is fairly loaded, and that's why.
Excuse me.
You've got to do your show cough. It's a tradition now. But WWE's roster, as I said, is stacked all around, and that includes NXT too, of course. And that's why it's a shame that some people don't even get used on TV, used on pay-per-views. They just have to sit at home. And there's just so much talent. It's such a shame. I wish they could use everybody.
It's funny when I watch Raw and SmackDown, though. It feels to me like Raw has the better roster to me.
Really?
The more exciting roster. I mean, when you think like Andrade and Carrillo were on the pre-show, they're on that roster. Ricochet, AJ Styles, you know, the guys we just mentioned. I just feel like Raw has kind of got the more stacked roster compared to SmackDown.
I guess I could see that, but
I think you get more. I will say it in one other way. More of the high flyers seem to be on Raw as opposed to, you know, because you got like Corbin and
Reigns,
Roman Reigns. You know, Bray Wyatt's not a high flyer. You know what I mean? So it seems like the more the bruiser types are on SmackDown, whereas Raw has, you know, the high flyers. So
I could see that, but it doesn't bother me though.
Oh,
and my point still remains the same.
It doesn't bother me.
No, the whole roster is stacked together, you know, including both brands for sure. So this was a great match, like we had mentioned, and I really enjoyed it. After that, we've got Rusev cutting a promo backstage, basically like an interview. He says that he's elated that Lana will be proposed by Lashley, because no alimony payments, and he's finally free, so he's very excited about that. And I like this line that he said. He said, "I may be single, but I'm not alone, because every day is Rusev Day." I like that a lot. And of course, he had a shirt with a quote from Princess Bride, "Anybody want a peanut?" It's from Princess Bride, Andre the Giant. Cool stuff. His shirts have been phenomenal lately. They have just been over the top, really pop culture-y, and really awesome. Like he had a Bob Ross one, he had an Angry Donald Duck, and then tonight, his peanut shirt. So I think that was kind of cool. I don't know. He's been killing it with his wardrobe lately. Not that matters.
So next up was the Viking Raiders versus the OC. The Viking Raiders issuing an open challenge, and the OC coming out for it. And fans ringside eating KFC, which was a prominent part of this match because it was a sponsored part, but it was distracting.
It really was.
Like, I would have rather they just had a KFC logo on the screen the whole match or something.
Well, they did end up, and you said, like, there's no way that this table is not going to be used at the end of the match. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Now, if we compare it to something like, let's just take AEW's Cracker Barrel that was used, like, let's go all the way back to before AEW was even a real thing, back to All In, when it was just kind of like an independent show. So they used the Cracker Barrel in that match. But for me, that wasn't that distracting because it was just sitting there among many things in the ring, among many weapons. And so it was just used as another weapon. This, however, it was just kind of glaring that there was people eating at it. And they were eating so, like, fake, like, I can't even explain it. They're like, somebody told them, you better eat. You look like you're enjoying it. Stuff your face. Go. I don't know. Because they were like, the whole time. Just like so cheery about the food.
I did like because the show was in Minneapolis, Vikings fans are known for doing the skull chant.
Yeah.
And so they did that for the Viking Raiders, which I thought was really neat. Dave said they didn't even have drinks, so they were stuffing their faces and they didn't even have drinks.
I'd be dying for a glass of water after all that chicken.
Was John say there?
John saying KFC has $20 fill-ups, feeds 4. They had $60 worth of fill-ups, wasteful. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Because there was 4 people there.
Right.
But they had like $60 worth of food instead of 20. What are they doing? They didn't need all that food. Definitely wasteful, John. You're right.
So back to the skull chant. So I thought that was really cool. But overall, I didn't think the crowd was very hot tonight.
It was dead silent.
It was definitely evident in a couple of they weren't really overly into the Aleister Black Buddy Murphy.
It was especially evident in some parts of the main event, which is a crime. These women are putting their bodies through like insane things, and like the crowd's just dead at some points. And you could really tell that when, like, some points, Charlotte, her voice is the most prominent thing.
Right.
Usually, sometimes you can't hear what a wrestler says exactly, even if their mics, the mics around them are kind of up. It doesn't matter. Usually, the crowd kind of drowns it out a little bit, or other noises. But this time, you could hear her perfectly because there really wasn't much crowd sound to drown it out.
In this Viking Raiders match, the one, like I said, they got loud for the skull. And they got loud at the end when it was a double count out and they started chanting BS.
Yeah.
That was the most evident. The crowd was, all night.
It's a shame. This match could have been so much more.
Yeah.
It could have been so much more than a count out and a ridiculous KFC table spot. Kind of a waste, in my opinion. You had great tag team wrestling all night long, and here's where they dropped the ball. I understand, both the OC and Viking Raiders, they're probably saving this to continue onward so we could eventually have a winner. But I understand them trying to tease it, not give away who really will be the best, because they're both really strong right now in different ways. One being the champs, the other having won the tournament. Yes, that tournament and the trophy. Exactly. So, yeah, I could see it in a way, trying to just make that go on longer, but I don't know. I hate not getting a result here.
After a Miz promo, Corbin and Reigns had their TLC match, and of course, Baron Corbin's got his line of security in front, and Roman completely decimates all of them, putting one through a table. They start out fighting through the crowd, and they let Baron Corbin kind of dominate this match early, which made me think that, okay, Roman's going to end up winning this match. But little did we know that there would be a lot of interference as well. And
this is another match that made me graded a B, just because I'm just kind of over this whole dog food thing.
Which was used because Corbin hit Roman with a full can of dog food, then proceeded to choke slam him through a table.
And, of course, we see Dolph come out from under the ring, from hiding. I think it was under the ring, right? I can't even remember.
Yep, came out from under the ring and super kicked Roman.
You liked Graves' line too.
Later. Yeah. First
they beat up that timekeeper.
Well, yeah, Corbin takes this timekeeper, which I don't know what his problem is with the timekeeper exactly, but he beals him. It was a long way. Like, I almost thought he was going to throw him into the ring post. That's how far he threw him.
He really did throw him very far, and I was like, geez, launched him.
Yeah. Then they start beating him up outside, and security is coming down because Roman's got a kendo stick, and he's just swinging and taking out all these security guys. And Graves says, "Somebody tell these security guys not to lead with their abdomen."
I like that a lot. Yeah, that was really great.
That was a great line.
Another good visual of the night: Roman flying over the top rope. That was another good.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I know. I was reading the comments.
I know.
So say again.
I was just saying a great visual was Roman flying over the
Oh
rope.
yeah,
He does. I'm not the biggest fan of Roman.
When he does that, it looks cool.
It does look cool. I will admit.
That's
I do
a big
like
dude.
that.
I mean, it looks like a plane taking off.
But Ziggler hits Roman with the chair and zigzag. Revival comes in and they hit Shatter Machine. So Corbin finally to get the win. Although, it's not completely clean, obviously, which is good for Roman overall. But yeah, Corbin hits the end of days on a chair and he beats Roman. I was really thinking that Roman would finally get his revenge here.
Yeah.
Because Corbin's been so dominant in the build-up.
And there was a lot of speculation. You heard the crowd start chanting the Usos, that maybe the Usos were going to come out and help Roman. But obviously, when Roman was getting beat up for a long time, you're like, oh, well, they're obviously not coming out. Because if they are, why would they let him get beat up so long? So
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
So I don't know where.
Yeah, like at one point you're like, it's not happening now. There's no way they could play off why they didn't come in sooner. So it's for sure not happening. And if it did, it would have been like, whoa, too little, too late. I like this comment by John, of course. Think we will ever see another King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring that doesn't lead to a royalty wardrobe? I hope so, because I'm sick of this whole like, oh, I'm gonna wear a crown. I'm gonna wear is it cape? What is that?
Yeah.
They call it a cape?
Yeah, I think cape and scepter.
I don't know.
Right?
Cape's more like Batman. Robe. But it's not really a robe, though. Whatever. A cape thing.
I guess it is technically called a robe, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it is called a king's robe. Yeah.
Next up was The Miz versus Bray Wyatt. Of course, in your notes, you wrote The Fiend, assuming it would be The Fiend.
I did, yeah. But that was before the match started, and I saw how he came out.
Right. But Bray comes out, and Miz just keeps hitting him with move after move, and at one point, Bray just keeps laughing, and Miz has his arm wrenched, and Bray tells him to do it. And so he dislocates, quote,
in quotes, his shoulder.
And then Bray runs over to the wall and pops his shoulder back in.
And then on commentary, they make a point to say, that's the first offensive move he's done all night. And it's been to drive himself into the barricade.
Yep.
I mean, into the post.
What else?
Really... Miz tries to hit a skull-crushing finale, but he doesn't cover. This is before all the thing with the shoulder. But during the match, during the bulk of the match, there was a point where Miz probably could have covered him, but he decided not to. He wanted to get revenge. He wanted to kind of keep beating up Bray Wyatt. But that's when all the crazy stuff happens. That's when Bray just keeps laughing at him. That's when he puts his shoulder back in socket. And that's when all of a sudden... how does this even end? Sister Abigail on the floor and then in the ring, and then he ends up winning, which I thought was not going to be the end result in a way. I thought it was going to be a lot longer. I thought there was going to be some kind of interference with like a new face, like we thought Daniel Bryan was going to come in, turn, and do something.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, other than
the yes man again.
Yeah, getting some shots in and reveals that he's gotten a haircut. Before we move on to
or maybe I thought Hardy might appear or something.
Actually, we should mention that the lights go out as Daniel Bryan's about to hit Wyatt with the mallet, and suddenly Bray Wyatt is gone. So
yeah. And by the way, it's a huge, insane, incredibly ridiculous mallet.
It's called a mantle, by the way.
It is?
The robe.
Oh, the robe. I thought you meant the mallet.
No, that's what John said.
Oh, a mantle. John's so smart. He knows things.
So Daniel Bryan looks down at the Universal title as he walks out. So obviously foreshadowing maybe something at the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Before we continue on, a question from Lil Fettuccine 69, favorite wrestler of 2019.
Ooh.
Let's clarify, is this through all promotions or just WWE? So we'll let you answer that, and
I'll just give multiple answers I always do.
We'll wait. We'll see what they're looking for.
It's a fun question.
Bobby,
I can't pick one.
Yeah, I know. You never can.
Never.
All. Okay, so all promotions. I already know who your answer is, I think.
No. Give me your answer.
Your favorite wrestler of 2019?
I don't know. I was going to maybe say Matt Riddle.
Really? Okay, that would have been...
What would you have guessed?
Will Ospreay.
Oh yeah, he is one of my favorites. I forgot he is a favorite of mine. Of course, I love the Briscoes right now too. I don't know. I got if I had to do my top 5, I think Matt Riddle, Will Ospreay, Suzuki didn't have a very good 2019, but he's still always a favorite of mine. Can't forget him. The Briscoes, and let's see, 5th. Oh, I don't know. It's really difficult. There's a lot of great people out there.
All right, Teddy. If you don't know the answer to who won that. Hopefully nobody will ruin it for you because we're going to discuss that match in a couple minutes. We got one other match to get to, and then we will get to that women's tag team match.
You didn't say your favorite.
I'm going to. I just wanted to address that. I think, Ospreay for me has got to be up there. Look, Keith Lee. Yeah. I mean, Keith Lee, to me, Ricochet had a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about the match he and Aleister Black had against the War Raiders at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That was one of the matches of the year for me.
Yeah.
So I think Ricochet is definitely up there, but I think for everything Will Ospreay did this year, even going back to WrestleMania week, what we saw him do at WrestleCon.
With Suzuki.
Yeah,
it was amazing. In that tag match,
mm-hmm.
Oh, it was incredible. That's still one of my favorite matches of the year.
Yeah, and then the next night at the Super Card of Honor, he was great there.
G1 Super Card.
Yeah, G1 Super Card. Yeah. So I think Ospreay would probably
against
be
Jeff Cobb. Yeah, that was great. Oh God, that was
to lead off the show, right?
Yeah, I think it was the opening match. Yeah,
so.
It was amazing. You're right. For some reason I was blanking out on people, but definitely I think Ospreay, Matt Riddle, Suzuki, top 3. Even though Suzuki hasn't had a great 2019, it makes me disappointed, but it is what it is. And then top tag team, the Briscoes, second, Young Bucks.
Yep, that was the next question.
Yeah,
favorite tag team.
Briscoes and then the Young Bucks.
Favorite tag team.
You like GOD a lot.
GOD is probably up there. Lucha Bros.
Proud and Powerful is incredible.
Proud and Powerful.
Honestly.
I think Lucha Bros would probably be my favorite. But GOD is up there just because I think Tama Tonga, not only are they a great tag team, but he's so funny.
He
cracks
is
me up
funny.
So much.
Oh my God. He's so cool.
Yeah.
Everything he does is just cool.
Let's get back to the show. Next up was Bobby Lashley versus Rusev. Rusev early on suplexes Lashley onto the ramp, and then he hits Lashley with the stairs. Then he goes and gets a barricade and hits Lashley with a barricade, although Lashley would turn things and power or choke slam Rusev through the barricade and would bend the barricade, which was kind of crazy.
That was a really cool visual too. So that's another one of those visuals that we've been talking about. Throughout the night, there was just some key moments here and there. And even though I didn't really like this match, and I definitely didn't like the result, I liked that visual because I thought it was, as I said about some other visuals, it was powerful.
Well, and the other powerful visual was all the cuts and welts on Rusev's back from the kendo sticks.
They were large cuts.
Yeah,
very
definitely got split open pretty good. And that's what's funny about the kendo sticks to me. Like, they seem like they hit people and they don't hurt, but then you see the welts and they clearly do hurt. So that's why it makes me nervous when they do the shots to the head sometimes, because they obviously can do some damage. Do we know anything about Kyrie? Is she okay? Don't know. We have not gone online and looked and seen it.
Yeah, we went straight and did this.
So do not know the answer on that.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Rusev ended up using the kendo and a Machka kick, but Lashley would suplex Rusev through the table after Lana would intervene. And so Lashley got
tried to spear him through a table, but it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
That's when he suplexed him into the other table.
Street.
I got your cough.
Yes.
Gosh darn.
Then we had a Street Profits segment, which you wrote down. Street Profits spouting nonsense, and a backstage brawl erupts, which we would not.
And then I said, WTF?
Yeah,
like why?
Like, why were some of these people fighting each other?
Buddy Murphy and Chad Gable randomly
just
going after each other.
Not even on the same show. So what is the point of that?
I don't know, unless there's something we've missed. It's not like we watch every hour of WWE programming. Maybe there is something we missed on that. I don't know.
I don't think they're on the same show.
You guys can correct us if we're wrong about that, but there were some random matchups in that backstage brawl. I like Street Profits, so let me clarify the spouting nonsense part. I don't really like their promos, but I love their gimmick. I think it's really fun, and I really believe in their party versus some other parties and other companies that I don't really. Wait, did I just call them Private Party just now?
I don't know.
Street Profits. I really like Street Profits and their version of partying versus Private Party in AEW. I might have just mixed up their names even now because I think the gimmicks are very similar. But I never have gotten to say this yet, and Paul is sick of hearing it, but I'm going to say it. Private Party comes out wearing Mardi Gras beads. I'm from New Orleans. Mardi Gras beads means a public party. Mardi Gras is a public party, a party for everyone to enjoy. Everyone's in the streets. So how can it be a private party if you're wearing Mardi Gras beads and throwing Mardi Gras beads? It makes no sense. That's not my only reason I don't like it. And their clothes, I don't like their gear. I just don't think it looks like a private party type of guys would be wearing those type of clothes. I don't know.
And you got so passionate about it, your little New Orleans accent came out there. Mardi Gras.
No,
Mardi Gras beads.
I don't have
Mardi Gras. Yeah.
I don't have an accent.
Yes, the accent comes out, especially when she gets worked up.
No, it's not true. All right. Well, anyway, but let me just say, a private party, Mardi Gras is not.
Teddy says Street Profits promos suck, so he agrees. They are definitely better wrestlers than better on promos.
They really are, and I just like. I kind of like their gimmick a little bit, even though I don't like their promos. I like how they come down to the ring. I love when they were dancing with that baby. That was like one of the best moments of the year. So
yeah, that was pretty fun.
So yeah, the promo tonight was bollocks, but everything else they do is pretty cool.
Brian Alvarez reported that Kyrie is being medically checked out right now. Might not get a diagnosis till pre-Raw. So
maybe like a concussion or something, because she was stumbling about and stuff. Yeah. She looked like just her balance was off.
Yeah.
Is that what it's in regards to, Dave? Like a head injury, like a concussion, for instance? Or did he not say? Thanks for giving us that info, by the way. Very helpful. So we really appreciate you.
So let's talk about that match, the TLC match. And the
main event.
I loved Charlotte kicking a... I know. It's a brilliant reason to be mad at. Charlotte kicking Kairi Sane out of the air early in the match. I thought that was cool because, obviously there's contact there because Kairi's flying and she's flying backwards. So it may not be like truly to the face, but
it looked good.
It looks good. It looks good. So lots of people were saying it was a concussion.
That's what I thought too. By the way, she was stumbling about and like tripping over things. It definitely looked like she was off balance and maybe, she hit her head. So that would make sense to me.
I did love Becky and Charlotte tossing Kairi Sane back and forth across the announce tables. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was funny. But poor Kairi, that looked like it hurt. Like that really did look very effective in terms of like that move could actually be believable to hurt.
You loved when Kairi came out with the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I'll watch her come up with something, but I didn't think it was going to be a fire extinguisher.
Well, it took her a little second to use it too.
I didn't see that. So it didn't bother me. I didn't see like a stall in her making it go and release the chemicals, but I could be wrong. Sometimes it's hard when you're watching live. I'd love to see things a second time. We already did pause this match when we were 5 minutes behind, so we couldn't really pause it too much more than we already had been. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that a second time.
Becky Lynch gets powerbombed onto a ladder, and then they tied her onto a ladder. And unlike AEW Dynamite and the tying up of Tully Blanchard, this was actually a good job by Kairi Sane.
Yeah, and as soon as she started tying the knot, I'm like, her sailing background, that's coming into play here. So I like how they even mentioned that on commentary later, but I called it out.
Samoa Joe called attention to it.
So, because, let's say that actually looks like a good knot instead of like that AEW Tully getting tied up. That was the worst.
That was one of the most ridiculous things.
It was. He just wiggled out. His hands were free. Like, just, if your hands are free, untie yourself. I don't know. It doesn't
yourself? There's that New Orleans accent again.
No, it's not.
Untie yourself.
Untie yourself.
Continuing on, Charlotte started going crazy with the kendo sticks, and then Asuka hit Charlotte with a chair as she was untying Becky. Becky hitting the leg drop of Asuka through the table. I thought that looked really good. It
looked awesome.
It was deep because she basically landed right on her sternum.
Yeah.
So that I'm surprised that didn't take more of the wind out of Asuka. Yeah. When it happened. You can pick up if you'd like.
Sure. Sane splashed onto Becky, but the table doesn't break. And there was this weird noise.
Yeah, I don't
even know what the noise was, but it was like a huge clang, and the camera kind of missed it. So I'm not really sure what happened there.
Yeah.
I would like to
Charlotte
see that again.
rolled off the table to get out of the way. So I don't know if she hit something as she rolled off
or Kairi hit something as she went to the ground.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe.
So then I like how Charlotte's like, there's a chair on like a table, and she goes, "Move this shit!" And before she powerbombed Sane through the table, she had to get it out the way. It was awesome.
Charlotte kicked a chair into Asuka's face. That looked pretty good.
Asuka powerbombed Charlotte through the table.
off the apron. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a pretty strong spot too.
Yeah.
Asuka pulls Becky off the ladder, so the rope was still attached to the ladder, and you could see Asuka at the side of the ring waiting, and she pulls the ladder down.
So
with
that
the
rope that they tied up Becky with, that rope that Kyrie used her, salient expertise to tie that good knot, that came into play so much later. So that was kind of cool. Like, it literally was a thread that was tied through the match.
It was.
Literally.
Dave says, take a drink every time Kelsi swears. Well, she does it so infrequently, I wouldn't get to drink very much.
I do in real life, just not on my streams very much.
So maybe something else, anytime she says something I don't agree with, I could drink.
Whatever.
Then I'd be completely drunk.
Yeah,
all the time. Teddy says Vic sucks on commentary. He likes Jerry Lawler better. I actually disagree a little bit. First of all, I think Vic has gotten a lot better in the last few weeks, as he's gotten comfortable. I love Jerry, but he tries too much to force his jokes in there, and sometimes he acts like or maybe it's not an act, that he doesn't know who the people are. Like tonight, even he referred to them as Kabuki Warrior 1 and 2, like he didn't know who was Asuka and who was Kairi Sane.
Outrageous. Like that's
now,
unacceptable.
I brought this up 2 weeks ago. Now this past week, they really let Samoa Joe talk a lot because Samoa Joe is so good, and you saw that on the pay-per-view tonight. Tonight was a perfect balance. Jerry got his jokes in, but like I said, not knowing who the Kabuki Warriors, which one was which.
Outrageous, just terrible.
Yeah.
But let me clarify, because we kind of went through the very ending very quick. So Charlotte, she got powerbombed through the table.
Mm-hmm.
That put her down and out.
Right.
So Becky was alone. Becky had to try to win the belts by herself. So as she's climbing up the ladder, because everyone else is outside and gone, she's almost there, and that's when Asuka from outside the ring has that edge of the rope and pulls it, and that's when Becky gets taken out. And then
Asuka climbs the ladders, gets the win, and then the part of the match that I did not like,
which had nothing to do with the match.
No, they don't get the payoff, and I hated this. The Kabuki Warriors should have gotten to end the show holding up the belts, Asuka at the top of the ladder, but then they had to have that fight spill out, and you had to end the show with Roman spearing Corbin into the whole crowd of guys.
Let the ladies close out the show.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna let the main event, let you could have saved that whole brawl thing
for the beginning of Raw or something.
Right,
it starts back up,
or SmackDown, or
whatever.
Or you could have broken it off as look what happened after the pay-per-view went off the air,
exactly,
and put it to drive to your website or put it on your YouTube channel. I thought it was an injustice to kind of take away the end of the show from Asuka after a great match, but that's just my personal opinion.
I agree 1,000%. And there's some good comments, and we'll read them.
Yeah, let's go ahead because a couple already made you laugh. So
yeah, I know. This is a good question. This doesn't have to do with the pay-per-view, but we'll answer it. Favorite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie? I gotta say, hardly any of them. I actually hate his movies. I love The Rock as a wrestler and his promo abilities and his acting in the ring when he was like a wrestler, but his acting outside of wrestling is really terrible, and I actually hate it. But having said that, I do love Be Cool, which is one of the first movies he ever did. John Travolta, so many people, Uma Thurman, I think's in it, all kinds of famous people. It's really funny. He plays like this over-the-top character, and he's like in a music video at the end. Everyone always forgets about that movie, but I really like Batista as an actor more. In fact, I think he, even more than John Cena, definitely more than The Rock, he is the best actor to come out of WWE and to be big on the silver screen.
I haven't seen a lot of Rock movies, to be honest. I've seen San Andreas, which
terrible.
Was cheesy.
I left the theater. I left the theater because
I just saw it on HBO.
I was like, this is terrible.
I'm pretty sure he was in, unless I'm completely off base here, a movie with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg called The Other Guys. It was about these kind of dysfunctional
he was
cops.
In that?
I'm pretty sure he was in that. So if he was, that would be my favorite, because that movie, very underrated and very funny movie.
Yeah. Wasn't there one where he was like, they flashed back and he was like fat and then he had lost weight? That might have been with Mark Wahlberg too, or somebody else.
Yeah. Like
some coppish movie. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't say that either. But the commercial with that part of it made me laugh.
We got some other ones. Nail says, I love that Becky can't beat Asuka. Hope it's a long-term thing leading to an eventful eventual battle, maybe at Mania, which I think is probably a possibility.
Learn to read.
Teddy also doesn't like Corey Graves. Come on, Teddy, you're killing me here. I am completely on the other side with you on
Corey
that.
can be harsh on social media, but he's got some great little.
I think he's one of the best.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we are not going to see eye to eye on that one, Teddy. Sorry.
That's okay. It's always okay to agree to disagree.
Disagree as long as it's respectful. I know.
That's what I always like to say.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll
continue, because obviously you got to react to that one.
I will react to that one, but I wanted to say the thing about the Becky comment by Nails, Andy, or and why. I like that comment a lot, and a lot of people think this could lead into Royal Rumble and then eventually maybe even WrestleMania. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like the Asuka Becky thing can go a long way, and this is just the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's the beginning by far, but it's definitely like kind of like just the middle. It's not the end for sure.
Read some more, and I'm gonna go make another drink.
Oh, what ifs. Leaving me solo. All right, so then we've got my friend John saying, if people want to make me mad, just mention Juice Robinson. Darn you, John. The whole backstory behind that comment is that, John thinks that Juice Robinson's a B+ player, and I think that he's not a B+ player. I think he's an A player. So I really like Juice Robinson. I think he's a steady guy, a deliverable guy. He delivers good matches, has good intensity, has a unique, different character, not every day. And sorry, Paul's making a ton of noise back there. I know Mike's picking it up. It's just he cannot help it, I guess.
I'm not making that much noise.
But yeah, Paul making all that noise doesn't make me as mad as John calling Juice a B+ player. That is correct. That makes me pretty mad. Asuka has her Rumble moment stolen by Ronda. And this main event ending was stolen by the men. I'm sure Ronda interfered and stole our moment for the championship match at TLC last year. I can't remember what happened at TLC last year. It was so long ago. But yeah, I just don't like how the main event ended with the big brawl. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Let them celebrate. They just went through a brutal match. They put their bodies like through hell. So let them have, as Paul said, that payoff at the end there. And it would be a cool, powerful visual to have them holding up the belts. And that's how it could have ended. And that's what I would have preferred personally. If you guys disagree, that's more than okay, of course.
As long as you're respectful.
As long as you're respectful, as Paul says. And that's my little motto, so it's true. My friend John says Kelsi dislikes Dwayne Johnson, tongue twister. I'm so used to calling him The Rock. It's so weird to call him by his real name and stuff. And also he said Central Intelligence was pretty okay. I'm guessing that's one of his movies. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that's the one with Kevin Hart, I think, right?
Oh, that might be the one where he was big in the flashbacks, actually, I think. That might be the one, John. You nailed it.
Teddy,
bring back Renee Young to Raw. I did like her, and I liked her chemistry always. Whenever she worked with Graves, no matter where they were working together. Because even back in the day, I think they worked. Well, I know she worked on NXT back in the day. She was great back then. She's
of course hosting Backstage now and doing a great job with that.
Yeah.
Kelsi dislikes is for when Kelsi goes heel.
Because I have this show called Kelsi Likes where I talk about all the things I love and different pop culture topics, even different wrestling topics. Dave's saying Kelsi Dislikes will be my new show when I go heel.
Nail says The Rock was in the other guys, but he died really early. So.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's one of my favorite Rock movies. No, I'm kidding.
That's mean.
Favorite match of 2019. We've got a list compiled. We don't
want to give away the final.
We were actually going to talk about this on our last podcast of the year. We're going to talk about some of that. So we're not going to answer that. You'll have to watch our final podcast of the year to hear some of our favorite matches of 2019. And we will preface it by saying matches we saw. Yeah. Because we know there are a million great matches that we didn't see as much as we try to watch everything.
Yeah. And I will say we gave away earlier, you have to be listening really close. We didn't say everyone in the match, but we gave away one of my contenders. So
yeah.
One of definitely in my top few. So
yes, that is
when we were talking about one of my favorite wrestlers that I totally forgot existed for some reason, even though he's a favorite, one of his matches was a favorite of mine. What do we think of Orange Cassidy?
The gimmick's growing on me a little bit.
Really?
But the stupid thing where he does the slow-mo kick and
oh, come on.
I'm not a fan of that.
It's fun.
But he's pretty amazing that he can do a suicide dive with his hands in his pockets.
That's what impressed me from the very get-go. I mean, like, I couldn't do one with both my hands, much less my hands in my pockets. It's insane. Takes incredible agility and athleticism, I think.
How much of a difference will we see when Vince gets ready for the relaunch of the XFL?
This is a great question because we've been thinking a lot about the XFL recently. And also, we were big fans of the AAF. Unfortunately, of course, that folded. But Vince kind of has at least a little better of a chance now that the AAF has closed. Ended.
Yes.
Not closed. I'm getting all tongue twisted. Go ahead. What do you want to say about the XFL?
No, I hope that he kind of relinquishes things and, look, I would rather Triple H take over at some point.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But I don't. Yeah, it's going to be
anytime
a little while.
soon.
But I'm hopeful that he is going to be so concentrated on the XFL that he'll let some other things, because I'm sure he's totally big behind this Lana Rusev Lashley.
He's got to be.
It's got his fingerprints all over
it. Does, because he thinks that some kind of marital cheating stuff is cool, I guess, or entertaining, whatever. I don't like it at all. I hate it. I think it's horrible.
I'm interested to see. I can't really say too much on this, but I've already heard a couple rumors about the XFL that they've kind of broken some promises to players. I can't really reveal that because it's kind of from an inside source.
Well, tell them how you get inside sources and what you do for a living.
Well, because I work in sports broadcasting, I've got friends who are connected with scouts and agents and stuff like that. So I've heard through the grapevine that some promises have already been broken about the XFL, and that certainly concerns me before they've even kicked off yet. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to the XFL. We're going to have a team 5 hours away from us in Houston.
3 teams we're going to have kind of somewhat a little close.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll just see.
Tampa ain't my team.
No. We'll see who. I may just like the games, and I don't know if I'll root for a specific team. We'll see.
I don't know. You're kind of flighty when it comes to supporting teams. You'll just support anybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whatever.
You're absolutely right, Teddy. Yeah, Raw. That was such a ridiculously quick cutoff of the show that it was very, very not like WWE. I mean, because we had talked about AEW kind of finishing a match real quick because they were up against it time-wise. But I don't know if I can remember when WWE did something like that where they were they had the copyright up there as the match was ending. So it used to stay on for a few minutes extra. It didn't cut off at 3 hours, so I don't know what has changed there. But
speaking of timing and getting back to this pay-per-view went kind of fast. Usually, to me, sometimes WWE pay-per-views drag, and I kind of enjoyed the earlier start time, at least for us in Central Time. It was quite nice to be done by 9:30.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was nice. So
now when this is over, we'll be kind of ready to start the evening by 10:30 versus 11:30. So that's kind of awesome.
Well, I still got to watch Ring of Honor from the other night.
I know.
You already did the live show about it.
I'm going to rewatch the matches with you.
Yeah, I've got to see some of these matches. So I'm looking forward to watching a little bit of that.
So if you guys, since we're wrapping up, we're going to give our final thoughts on the show in a second, overall grades and everything. After we went through and refreshed ourselves by reading our notes, we'll give the final grades, see if they change from what we said in the beginning. I still want to know what you guys thought of the show, what grades you give, and make sure that if you don't get to give your opinion, if you're tuning in and watching this after we end our live stream, then find us on social media. You can do that in a number of ways. You can tweet at me at SuperKickinIt. I'm always on Twitter. SuperKickingIt. You can find Paul at pboron88. PBORON88.
Yeah.
And you can find our podcast at Two Face Pod, TWOFACEDPOD. But also this YouTube channel you're watching right now, Wrestling News Co. Make sure you go to their website. You can stay tuned to all the latest wrestling news and also wrestling rumors and stuff and everything happening in the wrestling world across all promotions. WrestlingNews.co. Check it out. Also, you can tweet at me and at them at Wrestling News Co. All one word. Co is spelled C-O. Check them out. Please give them a follow if you don't already follow them on Twitter. Yeah. Also, we would love if you followed us and checked out our podcast and keep subscribe to this channel that you're watching right now on YouTube.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because this channel, I do all kinds of content, and guess what's coming? I've got a holiday Christmas gift guide, a wrestling one that is going to drop, I think, tomorrow. I got to stay up and edit it after this is over, but I already filmed it. And I don't mention the item I'm wearing, but I did one last year for my own channel or 2 years ago. And I mentioned the shirt I'm wearing. It's Randy Orton. You can't even see it. It's Randy Orton RKOing a snowman, as you can see. And it says, out of nowhere. I don't think it says RKO anywhere, but it might say it at the bottom. No, but anyway, he's RKOing a snowman. So that's kind of cool. I said items like that in the past. See what I had to recommend for Christmas wrestling gifts this year. It'll be dropping in the next few days.
And we should let you know that we will not be doing a Raw live review tomorrow night because we both have to work. I'll be covering the Saints-Colts Monday Night Football game, and you'll be back in studio. So
for the same game.
The same game. So no Raw review this week. We will, of course, have an AEW review on Wednesday, so make sure you join us for that. And for our podcast on Friday, where we will talk about what happened on Raw in addition to AEW and NXT.
Yeah, because we cover everything on our podcast. So although we won't have the live stream tomorrow on Monday, we will have discussion of Raw on next Friday.
All right.
On this YouTube channel, you could find that easily. Also, go to superkickingit.com to find our audio platforms if you want to check out the podcast, past episodes. Also, like I said, there's some backlog on this YouTube channel you're watching right now, Wrestling News Co.
One rating, Will Fettuccini gives a light 6. So everybody else,
10,
if you want to weigh in either with a letter grade or a number grade here in the next couple minutes before we check out of here. Kyle Davies. Do you see the Young Bucks winning the AEW tag team title on Wednesday night?
I don't know. The Young Bucks have not been too bad about having to win. It is their company. They're prominent in the company. They've been pretty good about letting others shine and giving others opportunity. SCU is over, so do they really need the belts? And especially if like Scorpio Sky breaks away, maybe if they do lose the belts and the Bucks win them, Sky can do some single stuff. I mean, hell, Kaz could even do some single stuff. The cool thing about SCU as a trio, if you include Christopher Daniels in that, they can break apart single. They can work two together in all kinds of different ways. So to me, it's really a versatile group, and they're already over, so they don't necessarily need the titles. Although I do think that the correct move is to keep them on them for a little while. They're the first tag team champs, make the championships mean something, have them retain, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that way, when the Bucks finally do win it, it'll maybe even mean more because it'll kind of take them a while to get there.
Yep, I agree. So that's going to do it for us here. We appreciate you guys checking us out after Tables, Ladders, and Chairs.
Final grade, like we said we were going to give after reviewing our notes.
I'll stick with a solid B.
I had said B-, but I think I'll go with a B, just like you. I'll match your grade because I feel like there was a lot of good in this show, just a few bad things, and I would say the bad things, just to summarize what we talked about in this whole show, the kind of bad things, Bobby Lashley versus Rusev, especially the ending, and of course, I didn't really enjoy Corbin and Roman Reigns, although at least there was some shenanigans there, so it wasn't completely clean. Roman's still somewhat strong because of all that. So there was a little bit you could explain away, but I still didn't like it, let's say. And then the tag team match with the Viking Raiders and the OC, thought that could have been done a lot better, and get the KFC table out there. I didn't like that too much.
So, yep, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate you joining us. And again, join us again live right after AEW Dynamite leaves the air. We'll be on for about 45 minutes to an hour on Wednesday night.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate your time. Also, like we said, please subscribe to us here. Also, please give us a follow. It would really mean a lot to us. But your time already means a lot. So thanks so much. Take care, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show.